And Skarzig, you are going to be joined by Mogwai right now. Let's go ahead and bring him in. And Mogwai, I know you're so excited about this upcoming match, aren't you?
I mean, I don't want to come off like this super biased caster, but it is the only Spaniard player and I'll represent the world. So yeah, I am a little bit excited, but oh my, I'm just still freaking out over that last series. Like, I'm a huge TF Swain fan, and those games are just ridiculous. It's nice to do so by your side, Skarzig. It's been a minute since we've cast together. We've dabbled in the genre for a while. So happy
it
to
is
see
the
you, man.
great reunion. Glad to have you on the desk again, buddy.
Well, I'm so excited. You already kind of alluded to it, Mogwai. We are going to be jumping into our Group B match number 2, and it is between Cosimo and HowToDie. Let's go ahead and pull up that versus card just to give everybody a little bit of a preview of what we are looking at here. I am so excited about this match as well, especially knowing that the 3 matches that we have had to kick off the day have been so close. All game 3s, all to play for, and I just know that this one's going to deliver as well. But before we get into the match, let's hear what Cosimo has to say.
Buenas, mi nombre es Cosimo Leonardo, mi nick dentro del juego es Cosimo. Lo que más me gusta del Runeterra es cómo están diseñados los campeones para que estén bien integrados haciendo cosas que hacen en el juego original, que es el LoL, y las animaciones de los upgrades, que algunas son puras obras de arte. Lo que me gusta del Legend of Runeterra, obviamente aparte de que es un juego de cartas, que siempre me han gustado ese tipo de juegos, es ver cómo están representados los campeones del LoL y cómo las regiones tienen como identidades propias. A los europeos siempre se les daba muy bien los juegos de cartas, así que Europa. No es solo ganar, sino ser el primer campeón del mundo. Tiene que ser realmente maravilloso. Quisiera experimentarlo.
Well, that was so exciting to hear what Cosimo had to say. And you know, Mogwai, do you believe in the Europeans for this tournament?
Well, you're putting me in the spot a little bit. I mean, I have to back them up, right? I already started talking some smack at the beginning. Yeah, I'm a big believer. I think we just saw one of the top players within the region really crawl out of quite the deep hole right there. Like, I honestly did not expect him to make it out of that. And Badge Attack has just been so incredibly consistent. And now we get to witness what is, in my opinion, one of the most dominant up-and-coming competitors. And he happens to come from Spain. But he started doing really well in regional tournaments for Spain, and then started dominating in the seasonals as well. So big fan of Cosimo, really happy that he qualified, but also really intrigued by his opponent as well. Both of Skarzig and I have looked at the lineups, and there's a lot to say.
Yeah, HowToDie, coming from Vietnam, underdog right now. A lot of the casters, we've been sharing our knowledge, trying to find out as much about these players as we can, and we were all kind of coming up empty on HowToDie, but we're in the World Championships. The most consistent factor is that this player is a force to be reckoned with. And Cosimo, I agree, I'm one of the few NA personalities that has the pleasure of casting that player, and so he's got his work cut out for him. I'm honestly, after coming off such a exciting set, a massive upset is exactly what we need to keep the spice flowing.
Well, you two are certainly the experts when it comes to these two players, so I'm going to let you, Skarzig, keep talking about them.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in. Like you said, Cosimo, very confident, like we just saw in the interview, right? He's very calm, very collected, and that's sort of like what you need for your mentality and your personality as a top-level performer. It's very interesting, right? When the players, they have their own unique personalities, their own takes on the meta, but that is the consistent factor, right? Is they all are just, they have very strong mental game.
For sure, very calm-natured and very consistent as a player. Cosimo just really caught my attention from the get-go. I did not get to witness his performance prior when he was making a name for himself in, like I said, the Spanish regional tournaments, you know, La Liga Runica, etc. But when he jumped onto the seasonal scene and I was casting his games, I was super impressed with his piloting of, back then it was Draven Ezreal. And just a outstanding player. And we see here his lineup is relatively standard to a certain degree, but definitely a pretty good one to go with. As we see Nami, even the decks that are targeting Nami don't necessarily always get the win against her. She's right now at the very top of the meta, and backing that up with Draven Scion and the new deck we like to call Pink City in Twisted Fate Gangplank with Bandle City. So what do you think about this lineup?
I love the addition of Pink City. The meta has been evolving like just every few days, it seems, and this was a deck that came out of the woodwork to counter Bandle Tree, but because of its aggressive slant, has the means to take on a lot of lists that are very slow, very value-oriented, which we actually saw a lot of in the last set. A lot of very slow mid-range can just get ground down. There's not a lot of healing right now in the metagame. It's all concentrated in the Sparklefly, and that's it. But we're going to take a closer look now at HowToDie Shen Jarvan deck.
Ooh, yeah, because I really wanted to talk about HowToDie's lineup, because it is true, the Cosimo's lineup is a little bit more standard, but HowToDie falls within the general strategy that we've seen from the Asian region, and that is that they do not play Nami. They are not bringing Nami. Instead, they are bringing all sorts of different lineups designed to counter Nami, and this is one of the key decks here being represented by HowToDie. Shen Jarvan, the only player in the tournament playing Shen Jarvan, a really underrated archetype in my opinion, that can put in the work against Nami because of the threats represented by its challengers. You may think, well, Nami decks have a lot of protection, you know, with the Sunblessed Vigor, Pale Casket, etc. Yeah, but we see triple Twin Disciplines, triple Sharp Sight on Shen Jarvan's side as well, so they have just as many combat tricks, and they really can threaten that. They also have extra elusive blockers with Young Witch as well, so really intrigued to see how well, I think it may come down to this deck, really, against Nami, because that is what HowToDie is targeting, and his other options may be a little bit more reliable, in my opinion.
Yeah, Cosimo probably seeing this list, another blast from the past, right? When you go back into previous metas of Runeterra and you start to apply those principles to current decks, you go, oh, well, when elusives were big before, how did we counter them before? You're consulting the ancient tomes of history, and you're like, oh, you know, we've got Ionia Demacia here, we've got the sharp sights to stop the elusives, and because of all of the barriers, you're shutting down the Sivir decks in their combat-oriented styles, and it's a really great meta call, and I would not be surprised if Cosimo bans this.
For sure, like we're saying that this is a lineup designed to take on Nami, but it feels more like a soft targeting this time around, because we did see Pimpinho earlier bringing a full-on aggro burn list with severe action, which is not technically burned, but it does do very well against Nami. This time around, HowToDie's lineup is a very different approach. It's a more control-based approach. You guys are seeing that deck on the left. It may seem like it's pirate aggro. Spoilers! It is not. As we see the bans here going down, and wait, the Shen Jarvan list got banned. Okay, so I got that wrong from the get-go.
Yeah.
Good on me.
Very, very scary, and it just goes to show that HowToDie had such a powerful read on the metagame that your opponent is now saying, okay, well, my deck is my lineup is trying to ban Nami and then kill everything else. But now, when your opponent throws a wild card deck at you that eats your ban, maybe you're playing matchups that you didn't necessarily prep for or intend to play. And so getting here into game one, we've got Ping City versus the more control-y big brother of Gangplank Twisted Fate.
What ban did we see for Cosimo, by the way, at the end there?
Yeah, Cosimo did take out the Shen Jarvan, and the Scion Draven was banned.
The Scion Draven was banned. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I would have been very surprised to see the Nami take the ban right there. So this is actually a pretty decent matchup for HowToDie, because like I mentioned prior, this is not your standard pirate aggro list. You already may be realizing that as you see cards like Arachnoid Sentry, but more predominantly cards like Death's Hand. You definitely don't see that in any burn variant. This is in fact a mid-range pirate control deck, and we're talking about this earlier, Scarzy. We refer to this deck as kind of like TF Swain without Swain and Gangplank instead, because that's essentially how it rolls, really.
We've seen the power and potential of Gangplank in previous metas and also in today's broadcast. Just having a 5-drop with Overwhelm that you can slam down, threaten some damage for your opponent in the mid game is always nice. You're getting extra barrels to power up your removal spells. And then the Dreadway coming through to double the damage of your spells, double the attack power of the units that you have in play means that there isn't this slow, grindy plan of a Leviathan needing to stay alive for several rounds. Dreadway could set up a huge burst here. Both players very even on HP, but Cosimo is maybe not as worried because as long as your opponent doesn't have healing, you just have to draw enough pings and take them on a tour of Ping City.
If you're Cosimo, you could be initially worried about drawing a bit too many of your 5-drops here. We see two double-ups in his hand alongside Gameplank, but he's got that lecturing Yordo, and we've seen this 4-drop just put in the work. Was pretty irrelevant in the meta prior to this deck coming out, but ever since then, this has been one of the most predominant cards within the list, synergizing extremely well with Gangplank thanks to the 1-mana ping that can also plant some puff caps and potentially help the level up even more, as there's also the Tenor of Terror right there in the hand. We may see a gold card here from Twisted Fate. No, we see a blue card instead. Gonna let that Yordo attack.
Alright, so this is very interesting. Blue card is something that
I love that. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to hint it, but there it is. The Mirai Great Mother, a one-off in this deck. Like I said, this deck has some very interesting one-offs as well. Captain Farron, Riptide Rex, the whole party is here. Like the 8-drop Avengers of the Bilgewater region are here for this deck. So we're really excited to see these tech cards in action.
To be honest, I think that this style of deck, this region combination, is probably one of the most flexible and toolboxy in the game. And so when you're just leaning into that, HowToDie is very comfortable on this list, obviously, and is going to be adding these extra variances into the game plan that Cosimo needs to account for. Great Mother can pull some nonsense. And I'm here for it, Mogwai. I am absolutely looking forward to Great Mother coming down. Not a lot of aggression coming from Cosimo. Despite us saying this deck was a bit aggressive, it has this very mid-range curve, Tenor of Terror, and Lecturing Yordle threatening a little bit of chip damage here, but HowToDie has a lot of reactivity, a lot of defensive options still at his disposal.
His defense has been a little bit hurdled though, because if it wasn't for that Tenor of Terror, that Make It Rain into Ravenous Flock would have been so clean, wiping out both the little Yordo and the big Yordo. And now, by presenting 2 more bodies onto the board, you can't really rely on Make It Rain as much. So he's going to opt to go with the Arachnoid Sentry, stop the Lecturing Yordo on his tracks so it cannot trigger the generation upon attack, and has 3 more mana spare, which means that Make It Rain Ravenous Flock combo is still open, but we're likely to see something like a Death's Hand potentially hit the 3-2 spawn from Tenor of Terror right there, as another Chemist goes down, and we're going to be in here for a one attack that's going to lead to some damage, but HowToDie can definitely block well into this.
Yeah, this is one of those lists that you know you're the beatdown. Your opponent has way more value than you, way more top end, and even when the value doesn't look good, when the trades don't look good, you still have to swing just to force your opponent to trade their board away. Maybe sets up some tempo for you down the road, and because of impact.
HowToDie just not taking any damage whatsoever. It's like, no, I will trade in my Twisted Fate. I do not care. I want to keep my health high up, which is really important to consider. Like what you mentioned earlier, is both of these regions, both of these decks have no healing whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mirai, Great Mother, could present us a very interesting surprise if she were to, I don't know, what spells, you can get like Karma's 7-mana spell, right? Like there
are some duds. There are
some options.
But I mean, HowToDie just needs to believe. You just gotta believe. And now with Whispered Words, it makes it a little bit more likely to get those treasures from the deep. Zap Sprayfin can also tutor those reduced cost spells for you potentially. Go on a little errand. And Cosimo thinking, again, can I take 3 damage? I don't have any healing. I want to keep the Yordle, the Lecturing Yordle healthy.
Does he double up here? Like, do you think he doubles? It's a very heavy play. Like, it prevents you from Tenor Terroring or from playing Gangplank here. So it seems like he's not going to opt to, but that was definitely an option.
I actually do like the double up. I think that the damage to the Nexus is going to be a little bit more difficult to land later on in the game if HowToDie has, Dreadway and Gangplank and stuff in hand, has the flexibility to respond to the double up.
Yeah. Because this attack screams, I have Ravenous Flock. Like, this attack is just like, I have a Ravenous Flock in hand, and if you block me, you're losing your Yordle. So, and the beautiful
Cosimo,
thing about Ravenous Flock, that 1 mana, man, it's just such a reliable, it's one of the few, like, actually above the curve sort of removals in the game. So
yeah, the tempo is magnificent here. And now Cosimo's going to be losing out on that poison dart as well. So that's even more damage being taken off of the table now for Cosimo. And I think that with such an expensive draw, like we've got another Tenor of Terror, we've got 2 Gangplanks, we've got 2 double ups, it's forcing Cosimo to play a much slower game than he might be comfortable with when you know that you need to turn up the juice here. The Great Mother does indeed hit the board, and hopefully we don't have to wait too long to see what spice she has shuffled in.
it is Great Mother versus Do Re Mi Fa Sol I Kill You. The battle of the ages. As we're going to see the draws go down here, it's a Jag Butcher. Not really what you would want to see, but I mean, it does allow you to fill up the board a little bit while still sacrificing some tempo for the card draw if you wish to go for that. I mean, you don't really have, you can afford Make It Rain, Whisper Words, and Butcher here. So we're definitely going to see the card draw here into more card draw. Not really good draws here for HowToDie, but he does have that Zap Spray Fin that we mentioned prior. The odds of him picking up a really big boy spell now are pretty high, actually, considering, I mean, there's a lot of 3-mana spells, but not that many, really.
Yeah, there is potential now for this Parley, Gangplank's Parley, to come through, detonate the barrel, remove the 2/2, and this will level up Gangplank, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be even more damage being threatened alongside the extra impact damage from the Tenor of Terror and his brother,
But
the
I like
Base of
double up
Burden.
better. I love double up here, because even if he does have like some sort of pain, you still target the 2/2. Like, you shouldn't target the Great Mother. You target the 2/2. You got the Keg boost. So even if you react with like a ping, like, you guarantee the damage. A big hit, by the way, and the gameplay level up that you mentioned here. Yeah, exactly. You target the 2/2 here. You don't take a risk. Yeah, this is amazing. This is actually amazing. This is brutal. I think this game is close to done. This is too much momentum and too much damage represented here for Cosimo here.
Yeah, the barrel's also going to boost the damage to the Nexus. We've got the 1 AoE damage coming from Gangplank. So even if you block with the Grey Mother, that's 4.
Do you die here?
11, yeah.
You die. Like, even if you block. Like, 7, yeah. Oh my
wow.
God. Exact lethal clean win by Cosimo. Wow.
The draw was slow from Cosimo, but because HowToDie was playing purely for defense and value, it still gave Cosimo so much time to put together a game plan because he really wasn't under a lot of pressure. And we saw the dial go from, 5 to 11, and the game is done. So that's going to be game 1 going to Cosimo. And now we've got 2 shots at Nami Zoe drawing the nuts against both of these decks in HowToDie's lineup.
Yeah, I mean, right now, this is what really matters. But I do want to say that this was a really good showcase as to why people are playing Ping City. Because up until now, the deck hasn't really performed super well in this tournament.
Yeah.
We had a few matches, right? But some people start to question why bring this deck to begin with. But we just saw the potential of that list. Like, that was just a beautiful showcase of the Gangplank Twisted Fate Bando City archetype as we're going to be venturing into game number 2. And this hand from Cosimo, it's got a triple, but not the kind of triple you want to see in the opener.
That's a royal flush, baby.
Yeah.
But fortunately for HowToDie, he's got double
Impropulator.
Double Impropulator.
Oh my goodness.
We've got double Impropulator, we've got Whirling Death off the second Draven now, we've got Rummage to cycle the Lost Soul, get even more value. This is not looking as doomed, but it's going to be close. I wonder if HowToDie is going to be able to stack up these Tri-Beams quick enough, or is going to be forced to cash them in for 3 or 4 damage on a desperation play.
It may seem really dire right now for Cosimo, but he is drawing into some substance. We got the Sunblessed Vigor right there. This turn, he really needs a double trouble here though, or something to play. Okay, that's not bad actually. You can afford to play both spells before playing Nami. HowToDie is not even gonna. I mean, he has no way to interact with that, but not even gonna try to fish for something. Nah, he's just gonna be like, hey, yeah, sure, hit me with your Zoe. I'm gonna drop my Challenger right here, and I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, Nami
but-
is going to need to be leveled up when she comes down and needs
Yeah.
a lot of backup to survive this onslaught of challengers. Maybe Zoe gets an Equinox here. We turn off that value, and here it is.
There it is.
Twin
There
Blade
it is.
Revenant is silenced, so Lost Soul will not be sent back to the hand, and now Draven has to go mano y mano against the fish people.
So that's what we're calling them, the fish people.
It's Starfish.
Just okay. Just noting that down. Now it goes to Sparkle Flight. Nami is leveled up. We see an Aloof Traveler's draw there for pretty useless Aloof Travelers in this particular scenario, actually, for HowToDie, as there is the Glimpse from Beyond for Cosimo. Very important card within this archetype. It allows you to potentially fish for some more Sparkle Flies. You can use it as removal. But what matters is that it's 2 spells in 1. And that is the kind of stuff you want to see with Nami right here. So right now it is HowToDie's turn. He is in the driver's seat. Both Tri-Beam and Prop leaders at this stage are still pretty underdeveloped, right? Because we've only seen a Draven and the Twin Blade Revenant. So he needs to find another 3-drop before he can actually start considering going for these. It's really good to start with them in your hand, but if you're not able to pump them up quickly, they can be a bit too slow, right? You got to be very, very careful. Right now, there is no answer within HowToDie's hand, and he does play the Aloof Travelers. Obviously, he does not have the knowledge we have, but we know Shelly's going down, and Cosimo, Cosimo just like waving, he's like, I don't care. Goodbye.
Waving goodbye to the Shelly, and just trying to draw maybe some fodder, some more, something to combo with these rummages. Now, get another axe and get more card draw too. This seems like a pretty good attack. It's just that if HowToDie cashes in the attack token, it gives Cosimo free reign to develop after the combat. Every point of damage that goes through is going to get offset potentially by a gigantic Sparkle Fly.
It's a very important point to make, especially for newer players, because a lot of times we see players confused when you have this good attack, but then all of a sudden you're passing and you're giving up your attack. But making your opponent burn 5 mana in this case would definitely be worth it, especially in a deck that requires a certain setup prior, right? But now that he sees the Shelly goes down, he goes all in with the attack and tries to either represent good damage or force some trades to weaken this board so that Shelly cannot go off. Let's see.
And Cosimo, can I take 10 damage here? You've got the
Sparkle Fly. It's a good thing.
You've got the Sparkle Fly. You've got the Gifts from Beyond in hand. You get a second Sparkle Fly.
He says I can. He thinks he can. And hey, Cosimo he's pretty on point with his decision making, from what I've seen. So he knows what he's doing here.
And of course, just like we do, Cosimo is trying to keep track of potential improbulators, knows that they're only up to like 2 damage right now. There's probulator number 3. If this game goes really long, we can see some really huge beams, Mogwai, but with the second Shelly about to come down...
That's a big if. Yeah, that is a big if. When you got Shelly on the board, you got Nami in hand, you're piling up these spells. This hand that was atrocious at the beginning, it's like I mentioned prior, like it looks bad now, but as you keep drawing and drawing and drawing, you're gonna find your spells and you're gonna get going. And you got a Sparkle Fly, a Zoe, a Shelly on board already. You draw into a Burblefish. This is looking amazing for Cosimo. Unfortunately, HowToDie just does not have enough interaction. He's got triple Tri-Beam, which is arguably not that great in this matchup to begin with. And then he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have any get excited, mystic shots. He doesn't have some fumes even. I'm not sure if Cosimo is actually playing. If HowToDie is playing the. Yeah, he is playing the Piltover Peacemakers. He's got none of that. Nope. Whirling Death. That's it. At fast speed. This is an issue. Like right now, his most reliable card is the Arachnoid Sentry, and that's just not enough.
Yeah, the Twin Blade Revenant was going to be the cornerstone of forcing through the tempo and challenging these elusive units to keep the board under control, and that got hit by the Equinox. And we saw there, Cosimo used the Gifts from Beyond to spend 1 mana so that Nami can come down and attune for 1, and now she is leveled, and there is 6 mana to be played here, Mogwai. Shelly is also going to AoE buff this board with 1 more cast.
And I think we've been focusing a lot on Shelly and Nami, but we haven't been talking enough about Zoe. That Zoe seems like she's awfully close to flipping here and leveling up and just completely sealing the deal for Cosimo. Like, she has to be like at 7, 8 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even in the previous set, I wasn't tracking Zoe at all, and she just surprises you in this deck with so many cheap burst spells and so much draw. And you're saving Fly and Nami and Shelly, and she just kind of slips through the cracks. And once she levels up, you play that second Sparklefly, you've got AoE lifesteal alongside your elusive.
Here we go. Here we go. But before this huge attack happens, I have a very important, quick question to throw at you, Skarzik. I need you to help a brother out. Equinox or Equinox?
It's Equinox.
Equinox. Oh my god. Okay, I'll try. All right, back to the game. So, yeah, Zoe about to level up. We see a line him up right there that could just easily level him up because in 3 mana, like, we just don't know exactly where she's at, but this could be it.
I think Equinox
that's
is also correct.
That's it. And she gets Nami elusive. This is too much.
Oh, no.
I mean, you have the Poro Cannon, but that's it. Like, you have the Poro Cannon to set up some blockers, but it's the same as an Arachnoid Sentry at this point.
Yeah, Arachnoid Sentry, Poro Cannon. We've got Whirling Death, so you can deal 1 damage with your elusive.
Is Cosimo on his way to getting the first 2-0 win of the Legends of Runeterra World Championships? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Yes? Yes.
HowToDie, yeah, cannot keep up with this level of damage. We've still got even a Pale Cascade for 1 more point of damage, and then another buff from Nami.
Yeah. This is too much, and he has nothing. He needs to rummage. He needs to rummage, and unfortunately, after the Pale Cascade goes on to the Burblefish, it needs to be a Sun Fume or a Get Excited. Never mind. Spanish math. Nothing stops this. Like, Rummage cannot find anything. There is nothing in his deck that can save him out of this. Yeah, he got the Sun Fumes, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, none of these units are damaged.
Ladies and gentlemen. Cosimo with the dominant 2-0 victory against a lineup that was countering his. And it's just cementing, you know, what I've been saying. Like, this guy is legit. Like, you can say, oh, well, he got lucky. He drew triple Shelly at the beginning, you know, like, you can't attribute it all to overwhelming luck. Like, this guy is legit, and I'm really excited to see how Cosimo performs, you know, from this point onwards. Totally unbiased commentary from your Spanish caster.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of the caster luck coming in here, but obviously Cosimo also showed a ton of skill. 4th match of the day, and this is the first one where we have had a dominant performance come out from a player. And Skarzig, I'm really curious on your thoughts about, you know, why did that, why and how did that happen?
What it really came down to is that Cosimo recognized that Shen J4 was HowToDie's secret tech for this meta. And fortunately, it's not just about skill in game. It's about lineups, preparation, and also knowing your matchup tables. When you look at your opponent's lineup, how do I lose? And we were talking about it, Mogwai and I, the countering that was available for Shen J4. Take that off of the table and just rely on then you take it into a skill and knowledge-based game in-game. You've almost already won at the ban phase.
Wow, that's super impressive to see coming out from Cosimo, which is going to net him a win. And now we have 2 matches down for each of our groups. So let's go ahead and pull up those standings and just give you a little bit of a rundown for what has happened so far. Right now, leading the pack in Group A is What Am I and Badge Attack with 1 win apiece. And for Group B, obviously Cosimo was able to take a win and Aikado as well. So super, super impressive to see that 2-0 victory come out from Cosimo. And that just means, I feel like, that it's anybody's game right now. Things can definitely happen for the rest of the day that is going to shake up who is in the lead, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. But Skarzig, we do have to say goodbye to you for now.
Pleasure, buddy.